Are you saying you faked with me?
Yeah.
Wrong. Now you're single.
What do you know about sexual relations?
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
I'm a little worried about being a slut.
You're listening to the Come With Us podcast, talking the good, the kinky, and the ugly. Here are your hosts, Beth, Aaron, and Tina.
Hello, 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 all you sexy wholesome poles. Welcome to Come With Us podcast. So glad you're here with us to be part of the naughty, sexy, fun conversations that everyone wants to listen in on. Because, come on, it's the bare naked truth. The good, the bad, the ugly about love, sex, and relationships. And gosh knows this is everything that we all need and nobody else talks about sometimes. So I'm Beth Darling, your sexy genius, here with Aaron and Tina. And today we're talking about scheduled sex, which just on the face of it sounds really boring and sounds like the epitome of BMS, right? Boring married sex. But I think we've got some ideas and some ways to help, because personally, I think scheduling sex is really important. So, okay. What say you, Aaron?
Clearly this is going to be some for people that are more in relationships, because I don't know how well you're going to schedule sex with just a random hookup, but I could be wrong. To me, I think it's more of something that you've been in a long-term relationship for a while and, sex kind of falls by the wayside.
Yeah.
The male perspective is probably, oh, that's boring. But at the same time, there's the upside of, hey, I'm getting sex. Who cares? The female perspective, from what I understand, is, well, then that's not romantic and it's not spontaneous and there's not sometimes it can't be, but that doesn't mean that it needs to, you don't need to make it like scheduling sex is not the same as dropping the kids off for soccer practice. It doesn't need to have the same monotony to it. Just because you schedule it, just because you and your partner look at each other and say, okay, Thursday, 7:30, the kids are going out to the movies, or the kids are going to be in bed at 8, and 8:30, we're just going to go in, lock the door, and go fucking apeshit on each other. Cool. You can find a way to make that sexy and hot, but also make sure that you're committing to each other. 8:30, I don't care what the hell happens.
Yeah.
Like, if you sever an arm, okay. But other than that, we're in that room and we're fucking doing this kind of thing.
We're fucking, damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think, have you ever tried in your marriage to schedule sex?
Yeah.
And
we've done it before.
How has that worked for y'all?
So when we tried it last time, I was working like 80 hours a week. So there was a lot of the times that we had scheduled also clashed with the times that I was actually supposed to sleep for everyday sleep kind of thing. So it fell through. And then her work got insane and we made excuses and we didn't stick to it. We're going to try to work on it a little bit more just to keep it going this year.
Yeah.
But we still, it's not that we need it right now, but at the same time, we know that just because it's a new year, old habits die hard. And if we fall into the old routines, then we're going to sit down and go, okay, this date, this time. Cool. What's the next time? Okay. 3 days later, this date, this time. Just to make sure that we're keeping to it, because, and you've said it before, the more you have sex, the more you want to have more sex. So yes, you can schedule it for, even if you're scheduling it for a month, that, you do it for the first month. By that point in time, hopefully both of your libidos have jumped up enough that you don't need to schedule it. Hey, we've got 30 seconds or we've got, 30 minutes of freedom. Cool. Let's go hide somewhere and do it real quick.
Yeah.
It's probably more necessary for people with kids. Because I don't have those. So I don't have little things that could walk in on me and ask, what the fuck are you doing kind of thing. So,
yeah,
but
so that's a good thought. And I'm looking puzzled because there's so much in there that I think it's interesting. But I guess my first thought is, I don't think that you have to be in a certain circumstance or that you have to have a not great sexy life to benefit from scheduling.
Yeah.
Sexy.
Okay.
I actually think that it's really good for everybody. And I would say maybe the same way that there are some people, right, who really enjoy going to the gym. I'm not one of them, but I hear tell of these people, right? Well, they really enjoy it. And what do? They schedule it. They know that they're going. Now, they don't shoot themselves if they don't make it one day or something, but almost everybody I know who has a good exercise habit, they go to the gym in the morning, generally around a certain time, or in the evening, right? They have a routine. They have a schedule that works for them. And that way they continue to be good exercise people and to have good exercise habits because they don't have to think about it, analyze it, and evaluate and whatever all the time. So therefore, they just they keep going and they become on autopilot. But that just means that gets them there. Because then when I talk to them, I say, don't you get bored? They always tell me, well, I don't do the same routine all the time, right? I just get there. And once I'm there, then I'm in the mood to exercise. And then I find whatever I feel like doing.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually what we should kind of aspire to in terms of sexy. That I actually don't like thinking of it as scheduling sex. But, I don't like the term just sex anyway. I think sex is erection and orgasm, his. And that's pretty much boring married sex, BMS. So I think of it as schedule a date, even if your date is never leaving the house. But because dates are fun, when we're single, we look forward to going on dates together and escaping reality together. So I don't know why we think of it like scheduling sex and we put it in like the least favorable light. Because wouldn't it be good if you just were like, oh, my wife and I are going to have a date, even if it's a 30-minute date?
I mean, yes and no, but the problem with that is the female psyche has always been programmed that just because you go out on a date with a guy, you shouldn't have to sleep with him.
Yes.
The second you change the audience, no, the whole point of this is scheduling the sexual fun and the sexual interaction, not just a date, because you can have dates with your spouse or your significant other and not have as much sex as you want. The whole point of it saying we're scheduling sex is that we are scheduling some type of physical intimacy of actual, we are both going, or at least one of us is going to get an orgasm, but we're going to do this together.
Okay, so how about calling it, and if you want to differentiate, and saying this is a sexy date, because you're not going to get very far if it is just okay. I have to check this off the list. If it's like okay, I just have to do my 10 sit-ups, then you're right. We're not going to do that long term because it's not going to necessarily fulfill us and excite us. So that doesn't work. I think
that's why we're here today, is we're here to figure out what you need to do to make it not seem like, hey, every Saturday morning I get up and I mow the lawn, or every Saturday afternoon I know that I have to strip the bed and wash the sheets. Okay, so it's about making it part of your routine, or making a routine out of sexual interaction with your partner, but not making it feel like a chore.
Yes.
Making it sexy, making it fun, making it hot.
Yes.
That's why we're here.
Yes. So let's call it a sexy date. Because I agree that we want sexy intimacy to be a part of that, right? And other times, then, in fact, and what can happen is that when you then have these sexy dates, the other times when you do have a date, let's say you have a dinner movie date and it's a different time, then we don't feel like, oh, now we, quote, have to have sexy. And so it can happen organically, but we're more like relaxed and whatever, and the focus is on different things. So sexy dates, the focus should be on turning each other on, right? Turning ourselves on and each other, and then going forward with something that is fun and interesting and exciting or different. And even if it's just wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, sometimes that should be different. You shouldn't be doing a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am all the time. So therefore it can be, oh my gosh, our sexy date's going to be cut short. Okay, bend over. Let's just go at it, and that should be fun and interesting and etc. But I think there has to be some seduction, because I don't know a lot of women who get turned on after we get turned on quickly with somebody new. In a new relationship, there's that newness, that energy, that electricity that basically gets our fire going just automatically. But once we've been with somebody, 6 months or a year is the limit. After that, women start getting bored if you're doing the same thing. So I think if you're not seducing them somehow or making them seduce themselves, it's going to be boring.
But see, that's different than what I like. I'm not saying that scheduling sex means you don't have to seduce them. No, you're just setting out a time frame of this is the time it's going to happen.
Yes.
Is there going to be foreplay? Is there going to be seduction? Yes. But at 7:30 on the dot, we are in the bedroom with the door locked, and I'm going to start seducing you. Are you in or you out?
Okay. And I would say start beforehand. But I understand
but
that
that's
you're
the
going to
whole point.
carve
Is
that
when
time
you're,
out.
when you're
right.
when you're sitting there making a schedule with your partner, you tell them,
Right.
okay, I've got a window. Like we can
Yes.
cut out a window for this much time.
Right.
This is exactly when we're starting.
Right. This is like a meeting time with anybody
Yes.
else, and it deserves to be respected and to not be jerked around. And so that's it. But then let's just say that your date starts at 7:30 that evening. I would say that morning and stuff, starting off with, ooh, I'm looking forward to it. And frankly, one suggestion I have for people when you do that is maybe alternate. Who is responsible for planning, orchestrating
Yeah.
the sexy date?
Yeah.
Because that way nobody's slacking and each person has a responsibility to think not only of their own pleasure, but also their partner's pleasure and
Yeah.
to do it. And that way it doesn't just, the burden doesn't fall on one person, and then have contests or give gold stars for most creative, sexy dates or anything like that. Right. What would you do for a gold star, Tina?
I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with scheduling an intimacy. Like, it doesn't have to be like checkbox like, but like, I think everyone plans intimacy in some form or another, whether it's like sexting or something like that, you know?
Well, it's true for a lot of women because if we haven't shaved our legs or if we haven't trimmed or whatever, or, taken a shower or something, then we're not up for it. So,
I mean, sex can be spontaneous, but I think we've made this like very romantic idea of like this movie, TV idea of like ravaging each other.
Yeah.
And stuff. Like, that's not how it really is.
But that's why from a male perspective, females always want that part of it. Whereas a guy will go, shit, okay, I'm getting sex. Cool. I'll schedule it. It can sound a little bit robotic. That's fine.
I don't know. I feel like it's also the other way around. Like, men, sometimes they want to be like seduced or whatever, but like women aren't up for it. It goes both ways.
Well,
And
that's just in general.
Yeah. And I think maybe as people get older too, and I mean, let's face it, the more sexy you've had, then the more you're like, oh, if this isn't going to be great, then why bother?
Like, I feel like people who like this is a big issue for people who are like going through fertility issues. Like, I've heard this specifically
damaging,
with like people who are going through like trying to have kids, because they always talk about like, oh, you don't want to make it feel like it's like a chore, like because you have to have sex at these certain times. Or, so, like, for example, I was talking to someone the other day who was telling me about like how they, like she would kind of, it wasn't super hard for her. She didn't have to go like through the whole IVF process, but like she'd figure out when she was like timing it or correctly. And then she would kind of like, they would time it out, but they wouldn't make it feel like it was exactly like it was like prescription time. Like it had to be then. They'd kind of just like know around that like time that they had to do it, and then they would, but like, they would.
If that goes on for more than a few months, I don't know any couple that still loves sexy together, because at least during that time, because
I mean,
because
she said it wasn't bad. That was
result-oriented.
her thing. She said, like, I was like, oh yeah, well, you hear horror stories. She said, like, well, we tried to really make it not like that. So,
But how long of a period were they trying?
I don't know,
though?
but I don't think it was like more than 6 months, probably maybe a year. But I don't know. Not super long. So
I don't know. And but I think fear and wanting, like, I think that having sexy dates with orgasm being the pinnacle. This is why I don't like the term foreplay, because I really like sexy fun in all of its glory. And I just think foreplay should be, but orgasm should be part of sexy fun, but not the be all and end all. And that certainly sexy fun shouldn't start.
I mean,
or
in this
end
scenario,
when-
actually, it isn't, because sex is producing like, I actually disagree with you in this scenario.
Yeah.
Orgasm should not, in this case, I don't know if that's exactly right.
that
Like,
what
if you're having trouble getting pregnant, that orgasm should be the be all and end of every like sexual experience for the woman.
Wait,
like,
I'm saying it shouldn't be. I'm saying that orgasm, right? Because too often what happens is they're fucking, and then he has an orgasm and they think that's the end of sex, and I'm like, again, this is why I called that sex, his erection and orgasm. And I think that's silly. I think it should be sexy fun, where orgasm can be part of it. And certainly her orgasm is as important as his orgasm, however frequent they want to have it. But it shouldn't be like, okay, once this happens, like, okay, now we're done. Like, because the only reason we're doing the only reason we're doing this is to have an orgasm. But I think that's what happens when you're trying to get pregnant is the focus really is on his orgasm particularly. But I will say actually that women trying to get pregnant, there are two major natural factors that help increase your chances of getting pregnant. One is being relaxed generally, and two is orgasming, because a female orgasm is designed to sort of contract, and it basically scoots the spooge up to the eggs and helps it
Actually,
get
y'all
there
want to hear
faster.
something crazy? And I'm not
Always.
sure this is medically relevant, but I saw it on TikTok, and then
Well, it must be true then, right? We know these things.
So,
Yeah.
someone told me that taking Mucinex while you're trying to get pregnant, or any mucus,
Drying
like
Thinner.
agent.
thinner, actually helps you get pregnant because it reduces the mucus, or like it's you're more susceptible to get makes the mucus in your down there thinner, the lining, your mucus lining, so it's easier for sperm to like penetrate. So they say Mucinex can, like, if you're trying to get pregnant, or if you're not trying to get pregnant, that those kinds of things can help you, or like, so I don't know.
Okay, I don't know.
Not
Somebody
medically
needs-
relevant, but like super interesting. You
Okay,
guys do your own
somebody
research.
has to. Yeah, we need to look into
You need
that
to
a
talk
little
to a
bit
fertility doctor.
because I just don't know. Because in some ways, I don't know that. So look that up. But that's interesting. But certainly, different medications do make it harder to get
It
pregnant.
says,
and things
does
like
Mucinex
that. So,
help you get pregnant?
yeah.
Well, data has shown a slight improvement in chances of contraception.
Contraception, which
I mean,
is not
conception.
Okay,
I
conception.
can't read.
Okay.
There's no
Interesting.
evidence from a large randomized clinical trial that Mucinex can help people conceive.
Okay. So I don't know about that, but I will tell you that there is research that shows that a female orgasm, can help increase the odds of conception. So that's something. But that stress and that focus absolutely is kind of a pregnancy killer, I got to say. That's why so many people, once they've adopted or they've got that process going, or they've given up on getting pregnant, suddenly find themselves pregnant. It's like the body just relaxes and stuff instead of contracting.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. So, but yeah, it certainly is hard for people then. And I would say that maybe if you're in that circumstance where you are trying to conceive, that instead I would schedule sexy fun dates at times when it's not about conception, so that you literally practice. And even if you're on orgasm, or spooge restriction because they don't want him to come too much or something, then make it sexy fun without that orgasm, but keep that going so that you still do have a joy and a connection and an intimacy that isn't pressureful and isn't judged. You're not judging it based on, did I get pregnant or not? Because that's a really lousy way to define sexy, I think. So,
But anyways, I feel like back to like the main topic.
yeah,
Everyone
so-
scheduled sex.
right.
to me.
When you're single, you schedule dates,
Yeah,
right?
you definitely schedule
You-
hookups.
And you do schedule
For
hookups. You just
sure.
don't necessarily schedule them too far in advance.
I mean,
But you
people
do schedule them because you
hookups
have to check and
all
see.
the time. Like, if you have a fuck buddy, like, what are you scheduling to meet other than
Yeah,
hook
but that's
up?
different. That's not somebody you're seeing all the time.
Yeah, I get it.
Like, that's not being in a
But-
relationship where you're constantly moving around the same
No,
domicile.
for sure. You don't get the
none of that
monotony
stuff.
But that's why I'm saying, so why should it be just because you see that person all the time? Why is there some idea that scheduling sexy dates isn't okay when that's exactly what got you in this position of seeing them all the time, was you had sexy dates and you had fun.
I don't know. Talk to the people who don't like it.
Okay. Yeah. So
That's why,
yeah.
again, that's why we're here. Is
Yeah.
for those couples that are looking to, hey, we don't have sex enough, or one of them complains to the other that, hey, we're not having sex enough. Okay, this is something that can help. Is
Yeah.
just like, hey, I want to lose 15 pounds. Cool. Start going to the gym. Okay. Well, once you go to the gym 28 days in a row, it shows habits start to prove that you start becoming it becomes not an addiction, but it becomes a habit.
More, yeah.
Same thing with sex. Not 28 days in a row, but you start scheduling. Hey,
Right.
you sit down, you talk about it with your partner. How many times a week do you want to have sex? Well, I want to have sex 4 times a week. Well, I only want it twice. Okay, let's compromise at 3. Okay, cool. And then you just kind of figure it out. Do you sit down on, Sunday night after dinner? Do you sit down on, Monday? Pick a day and you can schedule it as far out as you want. Is it a
Yeah.
once a month? We're scheduling it for the entire month. Are we scheduling it weekly? What? But you sit down with your partner and you go, okay, let's look at the calendar. Cool. Well, for this week, I work late on Tuesday and I work late on Friday. Cool. I guess that means we're going to do it on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Yeah.
Deal. Or Monday, Wednesday, Saturday.
And
Cool.
easier. You guys particularly have schedules that shift literally every week. But for people who have a little bit more consistent schedules, I will tell you, you can alleviate the pressure a little bit by just deciding sort of a month, just generally saying, okay, we're going to have sexy dates Monday, Wednesday, and Saturdays.
Yeah.
And then one week, if you have to change it, then you can. But generally moving forward, you kind of know what to expect instead of every week. It feels like another, because scheduling itself can be kind of a pain in the ass. So if we can make things easier. And then, like I said, I think very important is to take turns planning. And if you want, instead of it being every other date, it could be that one person takes the first week of the month, right? We could do it like a child possession order.
Yeah.
And that way you could have dates that sort of build on each other if you want to, that sort of flow instead of it just being in and out.
You can do that. I mean,
but passing and sharing that responsibility, I think, helps get both people invested in it, so that one person's not like really putting a lot of effort and the other person is just like, oh, whatever. And okay, I'm here. Right. I know when I was married, that phrase, oh, just lay there and spread your legs. It's just like, you don't really want to do that. It's just not going to be fun for you. It's not going to be fun for them. It's not going to be good for your relationship.
Well, I mean, again, depending on how far out you plan, if you're planning it weekly or you're planning it monthly, look at each other and also add it's going to sound clinical and it's going to sound robotic. People are going to be, the women who are listening are going to shriek, but add a quota. Hey, we're planning to have sex 3 times a week. Over the month, that means we're having sex 12 to 15 times, depending on how many weeks there are in the month. Right. Cool. Well, guess what? 3 of those 12 times in the month, we are going to use some type of new toy. Yeah. Or 3 out of the times, we are going to do it in the shower. Or 3 of those times, we are going to go and get a hotel room. Something that changes it up, so it's not just a, hey, let's run to the bedroom real quick and get it over with. Like, do something, give certain ones themes, and you don't have to schedule the themes so far in advance.
Right.
But you can go, hey, by the way, this week we've already, we're on week 3 of the month. We've, done one, we'll call it fetish night or kinky night or whatever like that.
Yeah.
But you know what? This Thursday we're supposed to have a sexy date, as you want to call it. Yeah. Cool. And we're doing anal this Thursday instead of regular.
Ooh.
Cool. Deal.
Okay, right. Whatever. Who's going to get the lube? Who's going to, right? Exactly. And get ready. And that's a very good point. I really like that. And then I like rewards. Again, I think that people don't, as we get older, we act like, oh, we don't really need them. But come on, realtors, different sale places where they really emphasize sales, they give awards, they give trophies, they give plaques, they give iPads, they give trips, because people are motivated by rewards. We like them. So get rewards for the 2 of you. And whether they're gold stickers, whether it's, okay, if we do this, if we meet our quota this month, then we're going to put $300 towards our vacation plans.
There you go.
Or towards whatever else really feels good and feels like a treat and is meaningful. So that you're like, oh, no, we can't blow this, right? We really want this. And do that. And maybe give a prize to whoever plans the most exciting date night, the sexy date night, then the other person has to do, there's a date night where they do anything that person wants. Who knows? There's so many different ways to do it, but be creative, because this matters.
Well, especially if that part, if you and your significant other like to have like a small competitive streak, whether it's video games or when you go out to the arcade on a date, you play air hockey, all that kind of stuff, make a competition out of it. Hey,
yes,
you get one special day that you get to plan for the month. Let's see who's going to blow each other's socks off the most. Is it going to be my date that night that I plan from, whatever we're doing, or is it going to be you?
Yeah.
And
and do that.
And everybody's going to, oh, well, you're just going to say yours is. No, you're going to be able to tell from your partner whether or not you think that yours was better or theirs was better.
Right. And because everybody wins. Because believe me, if you're the recipient of somebody else playing an amazing, awesome, sexy date night, you're like, oh yeah, that's awesome. Right.
Yeah.
We're going to give credit because it's fun and everybody wins. And if you don't want to compete between each other, then like I said, do it as that goal. I like that. Having your quota, having certain ideas. Okay, we're going to do at least one thing that we've never thought of before, or go have sexy someplace we've never imagined, or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, something new. And then also towards that, because again, life happens in between work and kids or family, whatever you've got. There are some times where we're just drained, right? We don't have the energy to be creative, to really take a whole lot of initiative. And that's when, using my analogy of the person like going to the gym, that's when you might go to the gym and instead of doing your own routine, you might be like, okay, what class is there? I'm just going to go show up for a class. Okay. And that's going to be easy, but at least I'm still moving. So I think everybody should be prepared with what I call too tired to think games. Too tired to think games. And there are any number of different ways you can do this, but you can each have a jar where you scribble down something. So maybe mine is, I want to have sexy in the backyard. Maybe mine is, I want to, take a walk with my partner, not wearing any underwear, or I want to go make out in the park, or anything like that. So you each have basically a little jar or something where you have ideas and you pull one out for the night. You'll be like, okay, it's my night to plan. I don't know. I'm going to pick one from your jar. That's going to be my treat to you, is we'll do whatever I pick, and you pick, and it's there, and you already know that person wanted it, and you do it, and you don't have to use your brain cells trying to figure out.
Yeah.
And so I think that's good. There are all sorts of different books that I'm staring. I've got 201 sex games book. I've got 1,001 quickies. There's so many different ways. So you need to have some resources, and then don't be ashamed. Just be like, I don't know. So all right, what are we going to do? And be like, okay.
Well, not only that, I mean, we preached this when we talked about, the 30-day sex challenge and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be full on, cock and pussy kind of sex. Like,
right.
You can also get tired at the end of the day and go, hey, guess what? Instead of us having actual, like, full on sex, how about we just masturbate while we're laying next to each other? Or how about I just give you a hand job right before you have to get in the shower, and then I'll, you get out and you can, or I'll give you a hand job. I'll get in the shower. I'll clean up. You can come and eat me out afterwards, kind of thing.
Yeah. Right. The
whole
choice.
point, the whole point is you're creating the sexual intimacy, and the more you do it, the more you feel that closeness with your partner, and the more those hormones waking up again, and you start desiring it more and more together.
Right, because the truth is, the more tired, stressed, exhausted you are, the more we want you to get closer to your partner, the more your body needs a release. It needs and will benefit from those hormones. They'll make you sleep better. They'll make you relax. They lower our stress levels.
Orgasm, there's nothing better. Like, there's nothing better release-wise.
Right, for sleep. And it's so funny because, like, I will self-pleasure sometimes in the evening to go to sleep, and I will then self-pleasure in the morning to wake me up.
No, I think it's more for like anxiety or just like a release.
Right, it's for all of that.
Yeah, well, for me, but like,
Yeah, it definitely releases, lowers your cortisol. It releases happy hormones. It does all sorts of good things. So, yeah. And so we need to just be prepared, thinking that even though we don't really need it, it's like maybe sometimes sometimes you don't really feel like drinking water, but you need to drink water. It's just, we have to just recognize this is important for our physical health, our emotional health, and certainly the health of our relationship. So, and then there are times I say, like, there's so many women who really just love a bath. And there are all sorts of vibrators and things that are waterproof that you can use in a bathtub. So you can certainly just be like, okay, we're so tired and lazy. Let's just take a bath together. And here we're going to bring this, and we're going to get each other off in the bathtub, which is always kind of just fun and silly and whatever, and then relax afterwards. Or it could be that she's in the bathtub and using whatever she wants, and he's standing there watching her, or washing her hair, or washing her back. And then he gets to, jerk off and come all over her, and she uses a prop in the bathtub. So there are all sorts of ways, because sexy fun, again, doesn't have to involve penis and vagina penetration, or penis and anus, or penis and oral. I mean, there's all different ways. There are a lot of lesbians having a lot of really great sexy fun, and it doesn't involve an erection at all.
It's because women are awesome.
Women are awesome. There you go.
There's a reason there's a fuck ton of, there's what, 3-4 billion guys chasing around a whole bunch of fucking women.
Yeah.
Because they're fun.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
Hey, there are guys
Their
chasing
bodies
around
are
guys
fun.
too. So
There are.
I personally happen to like guys. So, but that's the thing. So there's fun waiting for you. It's just when we sort of tank it under, and again, words matter. So scheduled sex doesn't sound like fun, but sexy dates, those sound like fun. If you have another term that makes your eyes light up, that makes your partner anticipate things a little bit more, then call it whatever you want to and give it something fun. Just like vulva, right? Saying, oh, my vulva is hot and juicy. No, that doesn't sound
I have
fun or
never heard
exciting at
anybody
all.
I've
say
never
that in the
say
history
that.
of time.
Literally,
I've
that's
never read a book where
terrible.
that's said. I've never
Right,
seen
'cause
porn where
it's-
that's said.
Right.
I
so
think you're
it's-
making that up.
Well, vulva is the proper term for the
Yes, but
exterior.
who's
Well, I
ever
know,
said
but so
that?
we call it the vagina, but it's not the vagina. So, and I'm saying vagina doesn't turn me on either. But pussy, on the other hand, that word like turns me on. So if we're going to talk about my pussy, suddenly now I've got a little bit of a turn on. And it's the same thing with sexy date versus scheduled sex. I don't.
I mean, it depends on what works for you.
Right.
But either way, the point is that you're making that commitment to your partner, that it's not
Yes. And to yourself.
yeah. But it's not something that, oh crap, well, we were supposed to, like, every couple has that. We're like, hey, we're going to do this. And then you look at each other like, oh, never mind, I'm too tired. No. When you're trying to do it this way, it's the commitment that, unless you fucking rip your arm off, like in an accident, we're going to do this.
Right.
One way or the other.
And women, like, I know this. I used to be part of a book club, and I'd be like, oh, I'm so tired. We'd meet once a month. Come on. I can certainly make time for a once a month, but I'd be like tired and lazy, and I wouldn't really want to go. And yet I knew every time if I would just force myself to go, I would have a blast. I wouldn't want it to end. I felt so good afterwards, but it was just that initial motivation. And that's where, having it on the calendar, taking it seriously, and having your romantic partner count on you. Then I think that's a really
and that's another thing.
thing.
Put it on a calendar.
Yes.
Whether it's a Google calendar that you two share, whether you have a calendar up in your kitchen or whatever, you don't have to write, of course, sexy fun if you have kids running around or you don't want people to see it.
Yeah.
Put a code word. Who cares?
Or
find some
date,
code word.
Yeah.
That all you have to do is just, fucking I don't know, wine glass, 7:30. Cool. Deal.
Yeah. And I think frankly putting a calendar in your bathroom can be good. And again, those gold stars, like when you have really, and be like, oh, how many stars do we want to give this? A 1, 2, 3, or 4 or 5. And the more stars you get on a night, then like that just makes you feel good. And then you're like, oh, I want another 5-star night. And that helps motivate us because it does. So yeah, I don't know. I think everybody should be scheduling. And because really what that is it's prioritizing.
Yeah.
Intimacy. Yeah. And
I think you would generally you're going to have more sex. Honestly.
Yeah,
if
you're going to have
schedule
more
it.
intimacy. Right. It's going to happen more.
That's the goal. If that's or the more intimacy, like you're going to have more sexy fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
As Beth says.
Yeah, because I've been doing these things it's the beginning of the new year. Everybody's talking about goals and everything and what they do for this year. Every single scientific study shows, one, if you write it down, you're much more likely. I forget the multiple exponentially more likely to make that actually come true. If you schedule it and put it in your calendar, which is again, writing it down, exponentially more likely to happen. And again, they use the example of people exercising because, if you're a runner, and this, I know so many people, we just had the Houston Marathon and stuff. So runners who are like, okay, I run every blah, 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 then they do it. And even they're like, oh, now I've been doing this so long, I won't have certain days. They find the times that they're running go down and down and down until they're like, no, I got to put it back on the schedule. I have to plan around it. Otherwise, we blow it off a little, and we just don't realize. So yes, prioritize it, make it fun, have some backup, some too tired to think ways that you can fall in and make some funny things happen without having to make decisions, and then do it.
Yeah.
And share the responsibility, I think. Yeah. Anything else? And then tease it.
I am all for this topic I think it's good. I think it's healthy.
I mean, we can revisit it again in the future too. But I mean, this should at least, if you're, especially with it being a new year, if you and your partner are, one of those couples that look at each other and go, okay, well, we need to do something.
Right.
We want to get back to that feeling.
I would also say that, like, I think this is kind of a stigmatized topic, or people think it is, but it's not really that stigmatized. Like, I think most people I know schedule or have some form of planning towards in their sex life. If you're in like a relationship, like, I don't think you should be afraid to like say like, oh, like we planned this to someone, saying like, oh, we plan our this, like everyone does, whatever that.
And it became sort of cool and popular, and I appreciate for people to have date nights, right? There are a lot of couples now, and they have date nights every week or every other week. But I think, as you pointed out, Aaron, a lot of times those date nights aren't about sexy. And so, yes, they're still good because there can be a lot of physical intimacy that isn't sexy. There can be a lot of emotional intimacy that doesn't necessarily involve sexy, but those don't make up for sexy. There are 5 kinds of intimacy: physical, emotional, sexual, romantic, and spiritual. You need all 5. And too often people think, okay, we're going to have a date night, but they don't put that much effort into it. They do dinner and a movie, and it's really more of a, okay, I'm just going to unwind during this time. It's not about actually getting closer to another person. It's just like, okay, let me just not worry for a few minutes and feel any obligation or pressure. And that's valuable time, but it is not necessarily sexy. So carve time out for that as well. And also time for sexy. Yeah. Okay. Don't overlook something.
Yeah. If it's important to you, you put it on your schedule.
Yes.
You put work on your schedule every day, because guess what? That's fucking important, because if you don't show up, they stop paying you.
Yes. And if you stop showing up in your marriage, it either will just linger and be really unpleasant, or it will end at some point.
You'll end up paying somebody else.
Yeah. It's kind of sad. So I know. Let's keep everybody together happily, or at least most of you.
I mean, if you're happy. If you're not happy in your marriage, period,
right,
that's fine.
Right. If you don't have a good relationship, but if you had a good relationship and you love your partner, then you just need to find ways to create more exciting, intimate energy and connection. And that scheduling sexy date nights can definitely do that for you. Very quickly too, I think. So
I agree.
All right. Woo! Okay, that's good. So please tell us. I want to hear your stories. I want to know what ideas you have. If you have a brilliant, too tired to think sort of idea, how you found scheduling sexy and everything like that. So Aaron, tell them how they can find us, please.
Yeah, you can find us on social media on Facebook and Instagram at Come With Us Podcast, on Twitter at Come With Us Pod. DMs are open on all 3 of those, or you can email us, comewithusconfessions@gmail.com. It's comewithusconfessions@gmail.com. If you want advice on how do I approach my partner about, bringing this up as a topic, because I feel like they're going to shut me out, email us there too. And one of us will definitely respond and give you some ideas or some hints.
Well, and invite them to listen to this with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is a great, again, they can throw me under the bus. Just be like, hey, Beth recommended this, Aaron recommended this, Tina. And if it doesn't work, we'll just send them a nasty email after.
But it will work.
But it will work.
Honestly, this is not something that I think is a bad thing at all. Unlike maybe our previous episode where I could see it not working for me.
Oh, she's talking about the Violet Wand episode.
So,
no. So this is pretty much, if you've got partners who want to commit, this is an avenue that's going to allow y'all to do it. So, but okay. So let us know. And please, 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 if you haven't given us a review yet, please go to Apple Podcast. Just do it right now. Give us, it can be 1 word, 2 words, just a 5-star review and a couple of words. Makes all the difference in the world. And truly, we would love and appreciate you so very, very much. So, all right. Well, thank you. I can't wait to hear how your scheduled sexy date nights go, or sexy dates. They don't have to be at night. Anytime. Morning works too. So, all right. Big hugs and love, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Come With Us podcast. Be sure to follow us on social media at Come With Us Podcast, and send in your questions, comments, and confessions to comewithusconfessions@gmail.com. Until next time, keep it fun, flirty, and naughty.